Now what? Well, I guess preseason, new regions, new formats. But first, world champions. All that and more in this episode of Vision Denial. Let's get going. Hello, one and all, to Vision Denial. My name is Sam, and if you're unfamiliar here, I take a look at every single best of 5 for qualifying international tournaments, each game of each particular international event, and especially World Championships. Although that might change next year, to see. But first, thank you for watching this last, possibly, video of the channel this year. It's been fun, ups and downs, the last that we see of regions, the first of many kinds, the repeated of so many things, and we'll get to talk about a bunch of those things and more. But first and foremost, we have 3 best of 5s to look over: the semifinals and the grand finals themselves. So before we discuss anything else, if you have not seen them, here's your nice quick review for those who have not caught up yet to the VODs, which I'm surprised you have not seen what has happened yet. Let's take a look. And for those who are uninitiated, down below will be my TikTok. Whenever I review best of 5s, those show up immediately right after or as soon as I get done with them. But let's take a look then at those series. We say goodbye to Weibo Gaming. Their improvement in regards to consistency is noted here. The scoreline is deceptive, yet their losses to this team this year remains consistent. 13 losses and 1 win all year long against Bilibili. And this isn't without effort. They showed excellent early game approach, neutral plays, macro answers, proactivity, skirmishing strength, coordination, so on and so forth. They knew their win conditions and how to approach everything. But at the end of the day, Bilibili Gaming is just better with every margin. Same things in regards to neutral plays, macro approaches, proactivity, skirmishing, coordination, so on, so forth. Both of these teams incredible. I think, however, what makes the big difference here is that the late game was just better played by Bilibili consistently. Each skirmishing angle better thought out, every risk calculated so minimal loss was opted for, but maximum gains were approached. And they closed out their games faster, and so much faster. Both teams had some strange micro errors overall, but this was such a close and tight-knit series for 3-0 scoreline. The score lies to us. This was a really close series. My MVP for this series is Knight, who is a skirmishing monster, creating small differences for this series. This was the semifinals. Weibo Gaming, the 4th seed of the LPL, versus Bilibili Gaming, the 1st seed of the LPL. We say goodbye to Gen.G. In an incredible show of fashion, Gen.G continued to fail at getting a world's title, or even then getting to the finals at all. And this time against a team that they knew how to beat regularly for years now. Now, there are still moments of solid brilliance from their macro approach, vision play, solid neutrals, and coordination. There is, however, some strange hesitations, like difficult drafting counters to their styles, different choices, macro errors, inconsistencies in their skirmishing. When ahead, it's pretty great, but this series so far at Worlds, or any of their series so far at Worlds, is not up to the expectations we had out of this team. Now, T1 for their part are starting to show both improvement and a return to their bizarre style. It's incredible macro approaches, neutral plays, coordination, skirmishing, so on and so forth, with all the trappings on top of it, from overforcing plays and bizarre drafts that make their lives a lot harder than their playstyles really care for. Yet, this time they have their shit together and are on their way to possibly keep an undefeated record against LPL teams at Worlds and claim a 5th title. It all hinges on their consistency. My MVP for the series is Gumayusi, whose skirmishing and dominance had Gen.G dizzy. This was the semifinals. Gen.G, the second seed of the LCK versus T1, the fourth seed of the LCK.
Congratulations to T1 on being the 14th world champions. Bilibili really give it their all, from excellent coordination and skirmishing, great read towards T1's macro options, and solid reads on their win conditions all around. I honestly have very little notes from their performance outside of games 4 and 5, where it clearly looked like a wave of hesitation and over-aggression took them over, leading to a lot of opportunities for T1 to either regain leads or balloon them even stronger. Now let's hope that next year they come back even stronger, because this roster is crazy and they're so good. T1 continue to show a legacy unlike any other team has shown before. I said that last year their record would be impossible to beat, and it gets even harder this time. No one's going to win 5 world championships, unlike them. They show the best League of Legends they've had all year, and it's crazy how much their coordination, neutral approach, macro play, skirmishing, and adaptability are so strong this go around and hard to compete against. Their continuous improvement is incredible, and I'm hoping to see how far they go next year and beyond. My MVP for this series clearly goes to Faker, who managed to play in ways that mirrored his peak performance of yore. This was the finals of the 2024, the 14th World Championship for League of Legends. Bilibili Gaming, the first seed of the LPL, versus T1, the fourth seed of the LCK, and your 5 times world champions. The first of the top 4 to be eliminated being Weibo Gaming did as good as Weibo Gaming could ever do, quite frankly. And this isn't to snuff their effort in any way, shape, or form. This is a team who, again, known for being consistently inconsistent. And unfortunately, to the whole shenanigans of it all, means that the most consistent thing they can do is lose to Bilibili. The record was 13-1 over the entire year. Unfortunately, in that, most cases, matchups like that tend to follow through in international tournaments. Again, tend, as we go to the next team. But I do want to make a point of note. This is still a fairly solid squad. I have my doubts that they will stick in this go. They'll probably have 1 or 2 lineup changes, if not the whole team, which would be rather unfortunate, because I do enjoy their style when they're playing well and ahead and like at the top of their peak. But otherwise, it's fairly meek and a little all over the place, which is super unfortunate. But that's them's the ropes when it comes to Worlds. If you do not have that kind of consistency going in, and you do not improve enough to get to there against teams that know how to beat you and have done so often, that's what's going to happen. Leading opposite for some reason, Gen.G, what the hell is happening with you? Look, I get it. I think a lot of us got a little bit too hyped when you finally got the international title in MSI for the first time in a long time to get an international tournament title. 2017 to be specific, when you were still Samsung. And frankly, I could do much better. I really wish you would do much better from this performance. Especially since you got slotted the easiest team that you've had a record matchup against. Right? It's not like you had to face against Life, who you have a 50-50 with. You were facing T1, who you've beaten every single time for 2 years now. Aha! And it's the same roster. You could have had a lot more. And this is the thing that baffles me. Previous years, it made sense that you had lost in random ways, because we knew you as a team that choked, especially in international tournaments, specifically in international tournaments. Only to be able to get through if you know the team very well. And in T1's case, you had your head-to-head record so incredibly well lined up. And it feels so bad to see just how easily they just dismantled you. Kind of. It wasn't really that easy, but it was very baffling to see
what looked like a bunch of hesitation at the like just straight up the finish line is in sight. Something's got to give because this roster you have is not doing it. Something in your coaching staff has probably got to change. Like, or you're never going to win Worlds. You were the best team going into Worlds 5 years in a row. Just slight disappointment. And we have Bilibili, who quite frankly performed almost exactly as expected, minus a little dip. Go from like the Swiss stage for a bit. This is the team that if you didn't pick Gen.G, you picked this, or vice versa. Like, they should have been the ones to win. Should have, right? I think the largest difference here is that because of their dip and a reintroduction to have to like regain some of their cohesion, so to speak, means that like we wind up with a team that if they had been improving and developing from the start, I for sure have zero doubts it would have been a little bit more to their side in the grand finals. And this still went to 5 games. They were still very close to winning the whole thing, and that's with needing to relearn how to do the cohesion in a way that is very high stakes. So, kudos, Bilibili. I really hope you keep this roster. Substitutes and all. Please. If you come back next year and this is still the same team, I have zero doubts you'll rock the house. But it's only a matter of if the players think it was enough, because it's not just if the team wants them, players will have to want them too. It's a matter of seeing in the future. And we have our grand champs in T1. Their record will never be broken. What the fuck? Guys, this is gnarly. Like, what is anybody going to do now? Last year, I thought this was nuts. The 4 World Championship was never going to be beaten, and the team that could do it the closest is Gen.G, and like I mentioned earlier, that record is nowhere going to be moved to any direction. So, what does this mean? Personally, I want to see what T1 does with the roster move around. But they're not going to do that. Why would you do that? You have a team who managed to get to 3 World Finals and 2 of them were won. That's a 66% success rate on a yearly scale. Sure, they have yet to win like strong, consistently regional titles or even MSI. But that really is all shaped up to be happenstance of the situation of the kind of like team that they are. They take a long time to really cook their strategies and their ability to play and their adaptation towards different teams. But I think that's kind of why I wanted them to switch up. This will be the greatest roster to have ever lived, and I think there's a point where how long before the crumbles of their early year catches up with them all year, Worlds included. Whenever T1 makes it to Worlds, they're guaranteed top 8 because they've never been lower than top 8. Hell, rarely are they less than top 4, and most of the time, the 9 years that they've been doing it, they've gotten there 7 times to the finals, winning it 5 times. So I have zero doubts that regardless of the roster, even if it's still the same one, making it to Worlds guarantees almost semifinals. to the team. They just seem to have that magic sauce to the whole situation. I want to see what it looks like, though, when you have straight up just either another 4 around Faker, or even if Faker retires. Because 5 world titles. How do you elevate from there? You get another one? You keep winning more of them? What more is to do? You've won nearly every single title. You've won the old All-Star titles. You've won the first MSI, if I remember correctly. You've won Worlds in almost every single format option. If you want to do more, everyone's going to be happy. I'll be happy. I'll still watch. Great. I kind of want to see what else can be done, though, with somebody else. What does it look like when Faker's a coach? Or a trainer? But he's likely too fundamental to the identity of the team and their ability to play well. We'll see. I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. Do you think it's time for a totally new roster? A new 4 to surround Faker? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments down below. But first, let's look into the future. And the future is wild. It is official. It's been announced in some way, shape, or form. Not all of the formats have been fully broken down, but from the new formats that the LTA, which is the now North America, the American conference style league, as well as the LEC, we have 5 regions now instead of what used to and once was 13, and then 12, and then 8. We have 5 regions now, all doing a 3 split system. The year going forward is going to be very different. And Fearless Draft, I have my doubts in terms of how good that can be for the ecosystem. I have my doubts on the 3 split system. LEC has yet to show me strong, convincing argument for it. They've removed an aspect of it that is really problematic, so to speak, but no season final means that there's an actual focus on each split in a way that is fundamental, and they're no longer doing points. Good. Away with it. Didn't like it, and the 3 international tournaments means that the 3 split system makes sense. That's fine. I have yet to be convinced of the utility of doing it that way. Smaller periods probably means bigger retention, but it also means more likelihood of roster swaps happening so much more frequently, more instability. There is a lot of interesting stuff that can happen, and the consolidation of a bunch of these regions into 2 totally new ones to help Asia Pacific and the Americas can be interesting. But I am very concerned about the stability of the professional scene going forward. I'm not going to say doomsday. No. More often than not, because of the business model that Riot Games does, the esports scene is integral to it all. So that's going to be propped up for as long as they can. I'm more concerned about the player stability that exists. It's already such a volatile situation for all the players that I would hope that some safety measures get put in, especially in Asia Pacific and in the LTA, who have not had as much time. The LPL and LCK being unchanged outside of their splits being split up to 3, possibly. I don't know if that's been announced yet. is fine. The LEC has had an ecosystem that is very robust. Those 3 regions are fine. But these changes really affect the regions that they've shooken up the most. And I hope that something can happen that'll change it all. That'll change my like skepticism of it. Especially since people keep screaming to the mountaintops, fearless draft is not going to fix the problem you think it's going to fix. It's going to cause more. I hope you like lane swamps. I hope you like funnel drafts. I hope you like mages in the bot lane. That's what we're going to get. But that's for another time. Until then, my name's been Sam. Probably will stay Sam. I appreciate all of you who've watched throughout the year, especially those who are brand new with a huge influx of it all. It's so greatly appreciated. And I'd love to hear all of your thoughts about your concerns of the future, your favorites of this year and the past. How does it feel to have a team with 5 world championships and a player who continues to have the most amount of championships under their belt? I'd love to hear all your thoughts in the comments down below. And maybe I'll make another video this year. I'd hope to possibly become an analyst for a team, but that will come with time. And if it gets to that point, we'll see. If any of you are in the connections of a team, hook me up. I'd love to be an analyst remotely or anywhere. But without further ado, thank you again for watching. I'll see you next time. Maybe for the first split. Most likely for the second. See you then.